Our crowd is not exaggerating when they say that Vinicius Jr was the standout player in the derby against Atletico Madrid, even though he had a quieter first half. What he did in the second half left Santiago Bernabeu and even Ancelotti speechless. Impressive dribbles, a dazzling display of football. And of course, the reactions from the fans on social media couldn't have been hotter. Let's dive into this game, which will spark a lot of conversation, and at the end, there's a controversy that will leave you speechless about Vini's future at Real Madrid. Stay tuned because the analysis is going to be thorough, and I want to know what you think about all this. But before we continue, subscribe to the channel to help us grow because I noticed that 80% of people watching our videos aren't subscribed to the channel. Please leave your like and subscribe to help us reach 5,000 subscribers. Don't forget to activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. First, let's try to hit the goal of 1,000 likes for this video. Now that you've subscribed, let's get to the news. Real Madrid drew 1-1 with Atletico Madrid in a breathtaking derby, and the one who stole the show was undoubtedly Vinicius Jr. It's not every day that we see a player dominate a game the way the Brazilian did in the second half. The first half was more subdued, with few exciting moments, but you could already see Real Madrid's pressure lingering around Atletico's area. Vinicius had his attempts but was thwarted by Oblak's good performance and a bit of bad luck. But when the second half started, the story changed. What seemed like a comfortable game for Atletico Madrid turned into a nightmare. Vinicius Jr was no longer the same player from the first half. He simply became unstoppable, as many fans said on social media. He started descending the field, dribbling as if there was no tomorrow. One of the most memorable moments was when he passed two defenders with incredible ease, leaving one of them literally on the ground. This drove the Bernabeu crazy, and the stadium seemed to recognize the real Vini Jr, the one who is considered one of the greatest promises in world football. It wasn't just the fans who reacted. Carlo Ancelotti, Real Madrid's coach, was also surprised by the change in attitude from his number 20. He made a point of praising the team's performance in the second half and, of course, highlighted the importance of playing on the wings, something Vinicius Jr did brilliantly. After the game, the Italian coach commented, "We deserved more, especially in the second half. We played well, scored, and got back into the game." And of course, the game could have been entirely different if Real Madrid had taken better advantage of the chances created, like that ball at the end of the first half that Rodrigo nearly put in after a cross from Vinicius. But back to Vini's reaction, many questioned his performance in the first half. Some fans criticized his positioning, claiming he was out of place, but the truth is that Real Madrid star found his rhythm in the second half and was one of the main contributors to the pressure the team applied on Atletico. What fans can't deny is that when he's on form, the team plays differently, and there's no one who can stop him. And of course, the criticisms against Vinicius Jr don't stop there. We can't forget the controversial episode with Luka Modric. The Croatian, in the last game against Leganés, had a stern word with Vinicius Jr over his lack of defensive return. Ancelotti even defended Modric, saying the Croatian was right, which led to more speculation about Vini's attitude. But what we saw against Atletico was exactly the opposite, a committed player, vibrant, trying to carry the team to victory at every moment. What's most interesting about all this is how the fans, even after the draw, were divided on social media. Some said Vinicius was unrecognizable in the first half, but others couldn't stop praising him for his turnaround in the second half, saying he was like a demon on the field with his performance. It's undeniable that Vini has the power to change a game, and when he's at his best, no one can stop him. This fluctuation in performance, which was also noticed last season, might be something the player himself needs to work on. After all, Vinicius Jr is already one of the big stars of European football, and he carries an immense responsibility within Real Madrid. And of course, the media also plays a part in this, always demanding more and more from the Brazilian. This might be a factor to consider since, while he wasn't so brilliant in the first half, the second half was a true explosion of talent, leaving everyone, including Ancelotti, surprised by his ability. Now, it's important to understand that, although Vinicius Jr made the difference, he still faces a season of ups and downs. Despite being decisive at many moments, his consistency has been questioned by many, including the Spanish press. This fluctuation in form is a concern, and this is one of the issues the Brazilian needs to resolve as quickly as possible to continue asserting himself as one of the best players in the world. While Vinicius Jr. dazzled with a breathtaking performance in the second half of the derby, the atmosphere behind the scenes at Real Madrid is far from peaceful when it comes to the future of the Brazilian star. The situation regarding his contract renewal has generated a major controversy, one that has not only shaken the club's management but also divided the fans. It's clear that Vini's contract with Real Madrid is a delicate matter, and his future at the club is at stake. The negotiations are causing quite a stir, and many are questioning whether the player will accept the first offer made by the club to extend his stay. The expectation around his renewal is high, but the situation is still far from being resolved. The star has shown no interest in accepting the initial proposal, which opens the door for other possibilities, including offers from giants of other leagues. In this context, the main concern for Real Madrid fans is that the Brazilian might give in to tempting offers from foreign clubs. This, of course, could lead the club to lose one of its greatest talents of the moment. At the moment, Vinicius Jr. earns around €15 million net per year, placing him in a select group of the highest paid players at Real Madrid. Although this amount is significant, it may not be enough to keep the player at the club in the long term. After winning the FIFA The Best award, Vini's market value has increased considerably, and he is aware that he can negotiate an even more lucrative contract. Real Madrid has already shown interest in keeping him for a longer period, which reflects the impact Vinicius has had on the pitch, in addition to his growing status as a global star. However, negotiations seem to be stalled, and rumors about the player's potential departure are only growing. Vinicius' refusal to accept Real Madrid's initial proposal puts extra pressure on the club's management, who know they may be on the verge of losing one of their most valuable assets. This situation is undoubtedly a challenge for the club, which is trying to balance the desire to retain the star with the need to make a more attractive offer. It is in this deadlock of negotiations that Saudi Arabian clubs come into play, willing to make an irresistible and tempting offer for Vinicius Jr. According to sources closely following the transfer market, the Saudis are not sparing any efforts to bring the Brazilian to Middle Eastern football. The plan? A 5-year contract and an annual salary of €200 million. Yes, an exorbitant salary that would make Vinicius Jr. one of the highest paid players in football history. The offer may seem surreal, but it reflects the financial power of Saudi clubs, who are willing to make a heavy investment to raise the level of football in the country. If he accepts this proposal, Vini would not only become a global star but would also receive an amount far beyond what most players could ever imagine. Saudi Arabia is focused on making the Brazilian the biggest star of Saudi football, and this monumental contract would be one of the ways to guarantee that. In this context, Vinicius' decision becomes even harder, as he would have to weigh the allure of an irresistible financial contract against his desire to play in a more competitive league. For Real Madrid, Vinicius Jr.'s departure would be a hard blow, especially considering the value involved in the negotiation. The proposal being considered by Saudi clubs is around €300 million to release the player. This amount, which would be paid to Real Madrid, would surpass any previous sale made by the club, including Cristiano Ronaldo's transfer to Juventus. This impressive sum could represent a huge financial opportunity for the club, but it would also imply the loss of one of their greatest assets and one of the most promising players in world football. It's clear that selling Vinicius Jr. would bring substantial profits to Real Madrid, but it would also leave a difficult-to-fill gap, especially considering the importance the Brazilian has in the team's attack. The club's management, however, finds itself in a tough spot, as they need to assess whether it's worth accepting this massive financial offer or fighting to keep the star on the team. What's more interesting is that Saudi clubs are unlikely to back down easily if Vinicius Jr. rejects this initial bid. According to information from reliable Spanish media sources, the Saudis are committed to doing whatever it takes to ensure the Brazilian joins Middle Eastern football. This includes making a new offer if the first one is rejected, and this persistence is seen as a clear strategy to make the Brazilian the face of Saudi football. Contrary to what many may think, Saudi clubs are not afraid to invest large amounts in transfers, and the idea is to use players like Vinicius Jr. to raise the level of competition and attract more international attention to local leagues. The Saudis' goal is clear: they want to make Vini an icon of the sport and a symbol of their country's football. And, given the current market situation, it is possible that the pressure on Vinicius Jr. will only increase in the coming weeks. And now, I want to know your opinion. If Vini doesn't renew with Real Madrid, should he accept the fortune offered by the Saudis or look for a new challenge in a more competitive league, like the Premier League? This is a question that has sparked a lot of discussion among fans, and I really want to know what you think about it. Will the star's future be in Saudi Arabia, or will he choose to continue his career in Europe, seeking new challenges? Comment below, because your opinions are very important to me. And if you've made it this far in the video, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and hit the bell to not miss anything that happens in the world of football. See you in the next video. Thanks.